In a world where hustle culture collides with wellness mornings and workplace demands keep evolving, how do we stay sharp without burning out? How do we navigate the endless stream of wellness trends while actually getting results? This is the Work and Wellness Podcast, and I'm your host, Ange Davis. Drawing from my own journey of wins, stumbles, and honest revelations, I'll be bringing you raw, unfiltered conversations with experts and inspiring guests who've been there, lived it, and found a better way. Together, we'll cut through the noise and workshop what it really means to be well in today's workplace. No more choosing between success and sanity. No more sacrificing health for achievement. Whether you're struggling with burnout, searching for purpose, or simply ready to work smarter, not harder, you're in the right place. This is real talk about real solutions for real people. Let's get into it. Hello friends, welcome to the show. In today's episode, we have the pleasure of speaking with Hillary McVeigh, a former lawyer turned human design teacher and intuitive guide. Hillary has transformed her own life from one of burnout and exhaustion into one filled with purpose, alignment, and deep self-love, which is so important. She combines human design with other modalities, including breath work and Vedic wisdom, to help others reconnect with their true selves and create a life of meaning and fulfillment. I'm so excited to chat with Hillary today. Hillary did a human design reading for me and I absolutely adored it. It was my introduction to the methodology. And I can't wait to hear Hillary's perspective on career changes and work and wellness through the lens of human design, but also through the lens of shifting careers into something different. So welcome to the show, Hillary.
Thank you for having me. So excited to reconnect after your reading. And yes, I still remember our reading. It was a good one. I remember it.
It was so good. I think you said to me at the time something about my profile's fully defined, I think.
Yeah.
And you were like, oh my
yeah,
gosh.
that's right. You have a very defined profile.
Yeah, every element is defined. So
I was like, do you, Angie, do you?
don't listen to anyone else.
No.
No, it was so good. So I'm so excited to jump into this with you today. I want to start back at the start. So you started your career in law, and I want to understand a little bit more about your journey from being a burnt out lawyer to discovering human design. Can you share a little bit about how that transpired? Because those two modalities are very different.
Very different. I can see some overlap now that I'm in the work, but really the reason I got into law was because I didn't know what to do. I think it got to that point where I'd finished school and it was time to pick uni, and it was just, there was no even thought process around asking or connecting with your own intuition or what feels right for you. It was just, okay, school's ending, you go to uni and you pick something, and I chose law because I got a good enough grades.
Yeah.
And there was no self-reflection. It was definitely just like, this is just what you do. You do a professional job. You do maybe you can see it where people maybe look to what their family does or what societally is accepted. And we can often have good intentions of like, look, I just want to be successful. I want to be happy. But we look externally for that avenue or that path. And especially we're meant to make our full life decisions at 17 or 18.
When our brains are not fully formed, by the way.
Not at all. And, it wasn't common conversation around my school or my family of, doing something that you either enjoy or that you feel connected to or that you feel, I guess, in alignment with or feel purposeful around. It was your job and you did it. And so I, went to law school, got into, was in law firms, and I decided on family law because I felt like, okay, well, this could be my reason I can help people. I got to the point where I was like, I want to be able to help people. So family law, it's like that's, it wouldn't be so much contracts, or it wouldn't be so much, property. I really wanted to get into that space. And what started to happen and what I personally felt was really out of my authenticity. I was trying to fit into a mold that just wasn't me. And everything felt hard. Everything felt hard. Everything felt draining. Everything felt like my soul was slowly withering away day in, day out. And I remember it got to the point a couple of years in, and now looking back, I was invited so many times to change and to create different decisions for myself. I ended up in a working environment that wasn't healthy. Looking back now, I'm so grateful for my boss at the time, my manager at the time, because it got me out quite quickly. But for 2 years, I worked underneath her, and it was traumatic, to say the least.
Yeah.
Most people, it was told to me afterwards, only lasted 2 months underneath her. I lasted about 2 years.
Oh my gosh,
And
resilient.
no, that's my conditioning. I was trying to
Yeah.
prove something. I was thinking it was my fault. I wasn't good enough. The reason why she's acting this way is because I need to be better at my job. And I was definitely self-internalizing everything. And instead, I should have just seen, well, and now I do see it as like little invitations to be like, hey, maybe this is not the thing for you, or maybe you're forcing something that's not right. And so oftentimes our body starts to communicate to us. I started having trouble with my health. I started to get panic attacks. I wasn't someone that was a naturally anxious person growing up. And I started to feel really anxious. And I think sometimes we talk a lot about burnout, of like this exhaustion and this fatigue, but I believe it goes so much further, where it's like this loss of joy, a loss of life force energy. You feel so disconnected from life. And I almost felt like the color was leaving my life. And, I was even getting reflections from my family saying like, am I okay? I would cry at the drop of a hat.
Yeah.
I was a walking time bomb. But again, I just kept trying and kept being like, no, like this is my only option. I don't know anything else. I've never studied anything else. I've never done anything else. And I had these intuitive inklings and these ideas, and I went to look for answers. And where I went to was podcasts, and where I went to was, at first, I started to understand how I could help my stress levels and how I could start feeling better. And from there, I got deeper and deeper. And all of a sudden, I'm like in spirituality. And all of a sudden, I'm learning about meditation. All of a sudden, I'm going to yoga. I'm starting to learn, and I found human design. And it was this aha moment. And it was definitely like my whole soul and body was like, there's something here. I think everyone kind of really connects to something specifically, whether it's maybe breath work or meditation or just, connection with someone or some place. Maybe they have a community group that they go to and they feel this sense of like, oh, I can exhale. I feel myself in this space. I feel understood. And I just remember it started to give me these answers for questions that I had been asking for a while and didn't feel like I was getting any of the answers. And so I started to explore that. It was definitely my dirty little secret, my little spiritual closet secret. I didn't want anyone to know, God forbid, even my boyfriend at the time, no one knew. It was like my secret things that I was listening to on my podcasts. And at no place, no part of me. And I remember even being in the law firm thinking and learning all this stuff about following the thing you're curious in, following the thing that's exciting to you. And I thought, well, human design could never be something I make a career out of, or this type of work, I could never actually support myself from this. And then just step by step, I moved towards it. I ended up moving overseas. I quit that job. Finally, it helped me to be able to see, no, this is just not aligned for me. I went through like a full dark night of the soul, spiritual reconnection to self. And then, I started to create this business. And it's been about 5 or 6 years now. And so I love it. It supports me. And I have more now than I did when I was a lawyer. And it's also just fulfilling. And it's a thing that feels natural and easy to me. Whereas, as I said, it always felt hard before. And I feel like that's not a coincidence. If things are feeling perpetually just exhausting and hard and draining and frustrating and disappointing, it's not that you're doing it wrong or your body is failing you. I think we think like, I'm burnt out, my body is failing me. No, there's some misalignment here. It's trying to re-guide you. It's trying to show you there's a different possibility in a different way. We just need to wake up and listen to it rather than continue to try and force.
You're so right. I say a lot of the time, burnout is not just from overwork and high workload. It's actually from working out of alignment with where you feel like you should be, even if you don't know what that is. And I have to say, you can tell human design is absolutely where you should be because you are so wonderful at it, Hillary. How did you have the courage to break free of that conditioning? Because I resonate so much with your story, very similarly experienced panic attacks and all of that sort of thing. And, you know, it took me a very long time to break free of the conditioning. And I think, you know, back when me in particular, I'm older than you, when I finished school and went to, you know, there was like 5 jobs you did, you know, like you did like business or law or, you know, whatever it was. And so there really is that conditioning that these are the jobs that you do. And when you go and do them, you want to do them to the best of your ability. Was there something that helped you break that conditioning to give you the confidence to go and do something different?
Yeah, a multitude of things. I think waking up in awareness is the most important piece. So when we are unaware, when we are just operating from our conditioning, we don't realize you're basically living from this rule book that you absorbed from a child, and your environment has created your conditioning. And I like to go even further that there's no way that we can avoid this. It is a human journey that we go through a process of kind of forgetting who we are. We go through a process of being conditioned. We go through a process of forgetting our power. We go through a process of not realizing that we have everything within us, because then when we reconnect to that and regain it, it becomes so sacred. It becomes so important and powerful. Often, you know, we can think when something leaves and then you re-get it back, you appreciate it more.
Yeah.
And even if we zoom even further out, I believe that we almost like chose our conditioning in order to evolve to be the person that we're here to be. We learn through challenge. We learn through discomfort. So it's not to ever like feel, you know, we're all going to have something. We all have something that we're moving through. And I think when you have awareness around it, then you can actually choose different. When we don't have awareness, we don't know to choose anything. So the biggest piece, and like often I think it's underrated, is just like understanding who you are, but also most importantly, understanding who you are not. And the permission that you can then give yourself to let that go. Sometimes I think we, even in this space, even the self-development space, it's like, it's almost this pressure of like, work out who you are. What's your authenticity? Who are you at your core? And sometimes I feel like, especially for me, I have what's called an undefined identity center in human design. That felt confusing. That felt like, well, I don't know who I am. Like, what do you mean? I can't put it in. Yeah. Pressure. And also it was like coming from this heady place when it's not meant to come from this like mind control certainty of like, let me sum up who I am in a couple of sentences. And it's also just going to be false anyway, because it's just going to be labels, and it's going to be even traits or how you are in relationship to other people, when in reality, you're just this like life force energy. And what I realized when I was starting to, as you said, like find the courage, it was also just starting to see the world clearer of like, okay, these things that don't feel good for me or don't feel natural, or I feel forced, or I feel like I'm putting myself in a mold. And the thing is, our body is always communicating. We can pretend we don't know. Every single time I walked into that law firm, my whole body sunk, like my stomach sunk, and I felt a sense of dread every time I walked through those doors. Like my body was communicating. Every time I forced that relationship, or every time I tried to do something for someone else's validation, or that time I would do something and then go to my parents to be proud of me for, like, that didn't feel good. It felt like a short-term gratifying, like Band-Aid. It didn't feel true. And so when you start to realize all the ways that you are not, like what you're trying to, as I said, force, or you're in your conditioning, when you start to release all that, you're inevitably just left with who you are. And so what was happening during that time, and look, it didn't happen overnight. When this was a year or year and a half at least of doing this inner work, of being really aware of being like, okay, I notice when I have this pattern around needing people to like validate that I'm doing a good job. I would notice how I was doing that in family or relationships or at work. And then I was like, wait, why am I trying to prove something? This was just one example. Okay, I'm noticing that there's a really negative thought pattern around X, Y, and Z. And, really starting to wake up and noticing the patterns and the stories that I was constantly saying and witnessing them. And then starting to slowly release them in the sense of like, okay, that's not reality and that's not truth. And I don't want to continue that pattern. Look, there was so many like somatic work. There was so much shadow work, inner child work, all just like really getting to know myself. And then from there, it was that permission. So it really did help me to be able to hear people like you and like what we're listening to on podcasts. It helped me so much because I felt like I was in an echo chamber of everyone just doing the same thing in my normal life, and being able to tap into like, wait, this person quit their job and then did this thing and then they were fine and they didn't self-combust and die and they didn't lose all their family members, where we can go to. So it was definitely steps. It was definitely gradual. But I think the more and more that I placed more value and awareness on what I was starting to see, what was happening and how I was starting to feel when I was being more in like my expression, and then releasing all those ways that I was pretending and forcing. And then it was almost like I couldn't keep forcing like something as big as my job, or I couldn't keep forcing an unaligned friendship or relationship or whatever. So I think it's just gradual is the most important piece. But as your conditioning comes up, and this is the most important piece, it will come up. The universe or life will present it to you when it's the exact time to present it to you. You will get a person come into your life. Your boss will go over a boundary that you've set for yourself. A really reoccurring pattern will just become really obvious. It's like you will be given these little invitations as they present. You just can't ignore them. You got to like act as if for the person that you want to be. So I kind of had to be brave and do the things that like my embodied self would do, even if I didn't feel there yet. And I was like, look, I can't do a second longer. So we just got to do it and jump into the unknown.
It was the burning platform almost.
Yeah.
Did that time in getting to know yourself and sort of stripping away this conditioning also help to heal that burnout? And was there anything else that you did along that time to help sort of come out of that burnout?
Yeah, well, I definitely started having a thirst for life again. I stopped numbing. Stopped numbing as much at that time. I remember when I was really burnt out, you would kind of like, I would be drinking on the weekends. I would, be like escaping. There was a lot of escaping. And I think just there's like some form of like a reprioritizing of what was important for me, and almost like a self-respect thing I started to feel, where I was almost, the more I connected to myself, the more I kind of like respected myself and was less willing to say yes to the social invite that didn't feel aligned, or force myself to stay in a place that, we can think straight away burnout is just work. It's in all aspects of your life. It's answering that phone call at 8 p.m. when you just know that it's just going to be a full-on phone call, or it's not listening to your body when it's tired and still going to the HIIT class, or it's actively engaging in that dynamic or that place where you can feel it genuinely sucking your energy as the seconds go by. So I feel like it happened definitely in my process of deconditioning, because I was someone that very much ignored her body's responses. So a big part of it was, okay, we're starting to listen to my body, even something as simple as like checking in of how are you going? What is needed here? Like my body, like, what do you need? How are we? We just run around like floating heads as though we're not connected to a body. And I think it also gave me the permission, especially as a projector in human design, of like, you can work differently and still be, if not more, successful. And I started to see examples in my life where, because I wasn't burnt out, because I was rested and because I was looking after myself, I was more present. So I could be present in the meeting. I could be present in the conversation. I could be present in writing. And I believe that a lot of our gifts and our strengths come through when we're present, and you can't be present when you're burnt out. Like you're a shell of a being. You're not intuitive. You're not creative. You're not, like your energy is zapped. So I saw it as actually not something as just a recovery, as actually something that was almost going to be indicative of if I'll be successful or not. It was like, it was such a switch of thinking.
Yeah, it's a really great reframe, I think, to I guess, put that amount of weight on it because it is so important. It's so interesting you say about numbing, because I reflect back to sort of my, overwork and all of that. It was certainly the HIIT classes and the running, but shopping was it for me. Like I would just go like a maniac shopping. And look, I still love to shop from time to time, but it was certainly a way to numb the fact that I was just exhausted and burnt out. And it was those little dopamine hits that I'd get from buying something new. I'm so pleased.
What's your environment in human design? Do you remember what your environment is? I'm quickly looking at that. You might be markets, because that can be really just relaxing for your system, is to go shopping or to go into...
I don't remember.
I'll have while we're talking. But as well with this, I think what was another thing that really helped me with the burnout as well was like forcing rest. It's so uncomfortable to slow down. It is so uncomfortable and scary. I remember it genuinely being not only like was this restlessness that came through, but it was almost fear. It was like, and a lot of judgment of, does this mean I'm lazy? Does this mean, will I get left behind? Will I become irrelevant? Will people judge me? Whatever. Like, and it's, it's like, okay, you're letting yourself have a nap on an afternoon, or just not overextending yourself. It was just, I had to almost go through the discomfort of letting myself. And then the world reflected back to me how much I actually started to flow, or things started to move even quicker, or things started to get better. And my experience with life was better because I allowed that. So it was almost like you have to go through the discomfort of it to be able to show yourself that you're firstly safe to do that, and also that you will actually succeed more.
Yes.
But you have to be the one to go first, because then only then will the life reflect back to you.
It's such an important point you raise, Hillary, and I speak about this a lot because exactly like you, I would be napping, for example, on the couch in the afternoon, and I'd say to my husband, I'm not being lazy. I've been X, Y, and Z today. I'm up at 6 teaching Pilates, and I've done all this consulting work or whatever it is. And he's like, you're the least lazy person I know. Have a nap. Like, he's like, if I could have a nap right now, I'd have a nap. So, but we do
it to ourselves.
Yeah. And
we're trying to prove something to ourselves.
It's so true. And I think that's the biggest thing, is we're trying to prove something to ourselves. But like you said, until you take the rest and then see what comes back to you when you take that rest, it's hard to believe that it's going to be okay to take the rest. I said to Liam, do you think I'm going to lose my edge? I got worried I was going to lose my performance edge by resting. Yeah.
I know. And I think that's almost such a heavy attachment to it then, because then of course you're going to be protective of your hustle mentality.
Yep.
And I think sometimes it's similar to this, or people think, okay, well, my ability to go is my edge, or I'm only successful because of stress. Like if I didn't have stress, then I wouldn't be successful, or I wouldn't be able to, I wouldn't stay on or whatever. And it's such a disservice to who you are. It's not because because you go 24/7, or because your stress is a reason why. No, it's who you are. It's your gifts and it's your abilities. It's got nothing to do with your stress. You can do it without it.
Yeah.
It's just unknown yet. You probably either haven't seen it. Maybe you grew up with parents that they lived like that, or societally we think that it's amazing to be busy. Like it's such a badge of honor to be busy. So you grew up listening to that. So of course. So it's just like love. It's being so loving with yourself through it.
For sure. Yeah. Being easy on yourself as you go through it, I think is really important. Yeah. How did your relationship to both work and wellness change once you started living in your design? So you said you're a projector, and obviously there's a lot more elements to human design than sort of the 4 elements. But how did your approach to work and wellness overall change?
Oh, so much. I think firstly, the biggest thing with human design, yes, we can go with the energy types, and that's by far the most important. But another place that I'm feeling called to share around this is your decision maker, your authority. The biggest part when it comes to career direction was definitely the understanding of my decisions needed to come through my intuitive authority. And as I said when I was telling the story, like there was no even corroboration. There was no meeting had with my intuition. It was absolutely not even in the ballpark or even in the vicinity or the room. I didn't know that you could, how to even, I didn't even know, like maybe I wouldn't have even known what intuition was. I knew what it was, but I didn't know how to connect it with me. And I think sometimes we're constantly making the logical decision. And basically logic is what we've seen before, what we've seen either based through our conditioning or just stories, or what makes sense to the mind. And that is great if that's how you want to live and if that's how, if you're okay with the ramifications of what happens when you do that. A lot of people, when they come from that place, are perpetually frustrated. They're feeling burnt out, as we said. They're feeling either a lot of the thing. A key piece for me as a projector is bitterness, and bitterness is my clue of when I'm getting off track. And so, what was happening in my life was that I was being reflected by the external world, it being hard, and basically it was hard because I was trying to be redirected into my path because I was going down the path of most resistance rather than least resistance. And then I was aware, okay, my emotional authority, my intuitive authority is the thing to actually make the decisions around. And so I started to see that when it comes to making decisions around your career, around your business, it needs to come from a true intuitive place, because only then is it authentic to you, and only then is it actually in alignment. I think science is now speaking a lot about this, about the gut and about your intuition. And you see all successful and often, even Steve Jobs, people like this, even Albert Einstein, they said that most of their or everything that they made or decisions or that their inventions all came through intuition. And we've just lost that connection. And so once I started to realize that and realize that, okay, well, there's a reason why I'm feeling called this way. There's a reason why I'm feeling interested in this thing. There's a reason why my whole body gets energy when I do this thing. Or there's a reason why people naturally come to me for this, rather than what logically made sense with my mind. Because logically, it would have said, you've studied for law. And at that time, I did law and business. You've studied for this for 7 years. You're in this technically good job. You have career prospects. Like, you can work your way up the ladder. I was on the bottom of the ladder as a graduate. So you can work your way up here. There's progression here. Everything logically said you should stay. And the best decision I can look back on my whole life was leaving there. And how much amazing things have happened ever since then. And I couldn't know where I was going. There was absolutely no way. And I remember even thinking, could this be a possibility? And my mind straight away said, absolutely not. But every time I just started edging towards it, I believe that when you're following from that place, it can't not happen.
Yeah.
It might not look exactly how you think it. It's not going to be the exact journey that you can plan out ahead. You physically can't. There's a reason why things are unknown. If we know the end story, it means we're going to have no growth. For example, if I said, oh, you're going to have a successful human design business, you're going to do all these things, there would be less motivation for growth.
Yeah.
I would have just been like, okay, well, I don't really need to do anything. That's just going to come in the future.
Yeah.
Or it's this understanding that not only is it about creating the thing we want when it comes to your career or business or whatever, it's who you evolve and who you become in the process.
Yeah.
And that's the actual most important bit. That's the important bit. And all the things come with that. We put so much focus on the external goals and less focus on who you internally need to become to be able to naturally manifest that or naturally create it. So I got off track there. But what happened was the most important thing was my authority and understanding intuitively and putting priority on that and no longer shutting it down 2 seconds later because my mind was like, that's not possible. You can't do that. You'll never make money off that. It was like, no, well, I hear that voice, but I choose not to believe it. And I almost see it now as we can have that inner critic voice because, it's almost the mind is out operating from known and what it knows to be certain. And it is always going to go against when you're going to take a risk, when you're going to move into the uncertainty. And also when you have more capacity to expand light and you have more power, that is scary for the mind. A lot of people are actually afraid to be in their highest expression because then you could be more vulnerable to people. There's more to lose. You might be more responsible for your actions. You got to hold more people. You need to expand to be able to hold that. So again, the mind often will not be happy about that straight away until you start to show that it is safe. So I started making these decisions, or started to live according to my design, and especially as a projector, I started to see I don't have to prove myself anymore. A big thing of projectors is trying to prove themselves. And I saw my value is more in the things I'm sharing, the guidance I'm seeing, rather than like burning myself out in trying to do it all.
Yeah.
And so little by little, I started to almost create this evidence of like, okay, when I do trust this thing, it works, like I'm benefited from it, or something comes from that, or I learn something that's important, or I meet someone that's important. You start to create a safety in your body of this resilience, but also this familiarity of, okay, this is not only allowed, but this is actually going to provide, there'll be benefits from this. So you're showing your body that it's safe, showing your conscious mind that it's safe.
Yeah. Oh, you just shared so many great insights there, Hillary. And I think so many people will feel that way, right? And from a scientific perspective, our brain does not like the unknown. It doesn't like change. It wants everything to be known and the same, because our brain is protective. And so it's designed to keep us alive. And when there's something unknown or change, if you want to put the science to what you're saying, the brain is going to do the opposite of whatever your intuition's saying. Do you have any tips for people listening on how to get more in touch with their intuition? Because there is this inner critic and this brain that's constantly sort of telling us through our conditioning or through its safety mechanisms on what we should be doing. For people who feel like they can't, if they're sitting there and they're like, where is this intuition? What do I do to access it? Do you have any tips?
Absolutely. And further to what you were just saying, I love what you were just sharing. And even as well, we have our RAS system, our reticular activating system in our brain that's just constantly looking for evidence to reconfirm our conditioning or reconfirm our stories.
Yeah.
So it's on like a neuroplasticity level, it's like we're constantly creating this evidence that reconfirm why we can't do something, or why we're not good enough, or why we can't trust that. And again, as you said, like it's trying to protect us. And I even love IFS for this, internal family systems, where you can almost make like a character out of it.
Yeah.
So we have lots of internal parts with our psyche where you can have a procrastinating part. You can have a fearful part. You can have a controlling part. I have a big controlling part. And you can have thousands and thousands of different types of parts we have. And I have found it really helpful to be able to like speak to that part, because a lot of the time, we can even when we say our mind doesn't like it. Yeah, we get it. But sometimes we almost need to, for me, it's been helpful, and I see it really helpful with a lot of people that I work, to almost have it as a character or an energy that you can speak to and you can understand why. Because again, understanding and awareness creates a lot of acceptance, and then you can actually move through it.
Yeah.
So even just as a tip for people that are struggling with that maybe inner critic voice, or a very protective part of them is getting activated every time you go to do something new. It's like you go to do the thing and all of a sudden you're so hungry, and I need to go this was something that used to happen for me. It was like I'd go to do something really important that I really wanted to do. My distracting part would be like, you're really hungry. You need to go make a meal. Something as little as that. And it's like, I wasn't hungry 2 seconds ago.
Yeah.
And now that I'm doing something that actually could involve maybe an element of risk, or an element of actually stepping into my purpose, all of a sudden my mind goes foggy. All of a sudden I'm confused. All of a sudden, and it's like, instead of just being like, oh, I'm actually just confused, or I'm distracted and this is not what I'm meant to be doing. No, you can inquire further with your subconscious and see, what is it trying to protect you? And then by having that conversation, and you can do this in a meditation, you can do this just by closing your eyes. I think people make things so much more complicated than they need to do. You don't need to go get hypnotized. You don't need to go do anything. You can close your eyes, get in a meditative state, ask a part, what's it afraid of? And this is even just going into your point of connecting with your intuition. It's not complicated. It's not complicated what people think. And I used to really overcomplicate it. And I thought it was the seas had to part and a lightning bolt came in, and then I knew everything and everything felt clear, and we're all waiting for that.
Yeah.
And the thing is so much we're saying like, I don't know what to do, or I'm confused, or I don't have clarity. And what I see time and time again is that people, it's not that they don't have clarity. It's that what they're looking for is certainty. They're looking for certainty that if I trust my gut in this moment, I need to be proven, or it needs to be certain that it will work out exactly as I want. I want to be certain that if I start this job or if I start this business, that everything is going to pan out exactly how I want it to be. And so a lot of the time we're like, I don't have clarity, but it's actually, you do have clarity. You have the intuitive whisper, you have the little like excitement around something, but you just don't have the certainty, but certainty doesn't exist.
There is no such
There's
thing.
none.
Yeah.
None. Exactly. So if you're waiting for it, you'll wait forever.
Yeah.
And this, again, and I speak from this because this was something that I really moved through of like, I don't know. I always thought I was really indecisive. I used to actually wear that as a label. Again, I had an indecisive part that would come online when I would want to make a decision. Oh, I don't know. Ask everyone's opinion. I wonder what to do. Deep down, I knew. And it's just not going to be as certain as, your conditioning or your mind's logic. It depends what different types of intuitive insights you have or your authority. But I would say for clues, it's so important to be in connection with your body. And what I mean by that, because everyone just says connect with your body. And a lot of the time people are like, what does that even mean? And I was one of them. How I like to do it is that when a situation happens or you have a decision to be made or something is happening in your world, closing your eyes, and it's similar to what I was asking of like, what is my response to this? Regardless if you're a generator or manifesting generator, this is often we speak about this for generators and manifesting generators in human design, where it's a lot about the gut instinct. It's going to be, how do I respond? Do I feel an expansion? Do I feel a constriction? I believe it's for everyone. Because me as a projector, I can do the same thing, where you're closing your eyes, you're connecting with your body, and you're asking, how does my body respond? How does my intuition feel with this? And a simple piece of like, do I feel expansion? Do I feel excitement? Do I feel possibility here? Do I feel like there's an intrigue? Is there something more here? And you feel it. You can genuinely feel it. But the thing is, we don't even do that tap in. We don't. And the opposite. Do I feel a constriction? Do I feel almost like all my energy just drains for me in that moment? Do I feel dread? And the thing is, it's not going to make, again, logical sense. I remember, even if we even think with just the example with the law firm, there was, even if I got offered a raise, and they actually did, when I went to leave, they were like, look, we'll give you a different position. You can blah, blah, blah. We'll increase your money, all the things, of course, because you get little tests from the universe to see how strong are you. And it was just no. It was a full body no. So I would say slowing down, connecting. You're also going to know if it's not your intuition, if it feels like you're like that inner critic. I think a lot of people have that almost devil's advocate voice, and they think it's their intuition, but it's actually just that inner critic voice. And so your intuition will never, ever, 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 ever say something about your insecurities, will never prey on, say that you're not smart enough for it or that it's not possible. It will just say no. It'll just say not available.
That's
so
such a
people are
good
always
delineation. That's a really helpful delineation, because I think sometimes people think that inner critic is their gut telling them no, this is not it. So that's so helpful to be like, it's just a no. It's not you're not able to do this, you're not worthy of it, you can't be successful, whatever that is.
Yeah, it's just, I'm not available.
Yeah.
It's just like, I always think when you feel that no from the body, where it's just like, no, energy is not available to carry this out, it's almost a premonition for the future that if you do go against that, it's basically telling you that it's going to be draining. It's going to feel really hard. You're going to have a lot of resistance. So you can either trust it then, or you can just, wait a year and be reminded that you should have remembered or listened a year ago. And that takes practice. It's definitely a trust muscle. It took me, honestly, quite a while to be able to be really in tune to how my intuition speaks. And I think everyone's really different. And it's just like almost like a developing of the relationship with it. Firstly, like any relationship, you have to be able to listen to it. So if you've ignored it for 20, 30 years, it's not like it's going to be angry at you, but at the same time, it's just like reconnect with it.
Yeah.
Just get to know it a little bit more of the same of just like how you would speak to anyone. So it's just like, how do I feel about this? How do I respond to this? What feels true for me? And just let that almost somatic experience reveal it.
Yeah, that's so powerful because I think we often just don't even sit in silence enough to understand what it is, you know? Yeah. So that's really practical and helpful.
I feel like with this, the first practice is being aware of it. The second practice is then starting to trust it and follow it. So like, even if you can just do the first one, even if you're not in a position to be able to actually make decisions from it, if you're still not in the place where you're like, oh, I feel it, but I'm not ready, that's totally fine. You're getting closer, but at least acknowledge how you genuinely like be honest with yourself. And then you can start to actively learn or like be able to trust it slower and slower. And I always think start with the smaller things. And then, the practice is actually trusting the intuition when your mind can be so much louder than it.
Yeah. And I think what can be helpful with that, in my experience, like anything, is proof points. So once you start to trust it and you're able to reflect back on the times that you have, you now start to have proof points of, okay, I've trusted it. I've cultivated this relationship with my intuition. I've now got proof points that it works, and it's worked out for me every time I have. And I think that can help it's almost like a snowball to continuing to then listen to your intuition.
I love that. Yes. And then again, with that, you're creating that inner resilience and safety of like, look, we're safe. You're creating the evidence, proof points of like, we're safe. We're safe. Because that's all your subconscious cares about, is that you're safe. Your subconscious does not care if you're thriving or if you're loving your life. It's just caring if you're safe. Your intuition and your body and your life force energy wants to be thriving, enjoying. So when you can just be doing that and then showing your subconscious it's safe to do that, then you're good.
Yeah, I love that. That's such a great way to put it. I want to know a little bit more about human design. Obviously, it's going to be like a whistle-stop tour. We can't dive super deep, but in terms of how people can begin to understand their human design, or maybe the 4 energy centers, and how that can influence their career decisions.
Yeah, I think there's so many different areas to go with. There's different aspects you can look at your chart. So at the whole, even just if we think and zoom out with human design, your human design is your blueprint of who you came here to be, what you came here to do, and how to evolve into the person that you basically chose to become. And what I mean by that is that you have an energy source. You have, like, we are all energy. And this scientific, this is not just woo-woo, we are all energy. Energy created matter, and to create these like molecules, our body.
Yeah.
And when we understand how to use our energy, and how I like to think of it is that we are all prisms, or we have all different expressions of this like life force energy that we all feel like. And you can as well, you walk into a room and you can feel the energy of a room, or you meet someone and you can feel their energy. Like, we are just energetic beings. And I think sometimes we've gotten a bit lost in like, if I can't see it, it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
But we feel it. We feel it. And when we understand how we use our energy, it's almost like a hack in life. I see it as like almost an advantage that when you understand your energy and your prism, your flavor of that universal energy, then you can start creating a life that is on purpose for you, because again, you came here with a journey. There's something that you came to evolve through. This is through every ancient wisdom. It's always this just a reoccurring theme, whether it's like Vedics call it your karma, the Kabbalah talk about your tycoon, even with science, it's just like you have a human evolution. And so we have a process that we're here to move through. And when we understand, and I like to think that human design almost came into existence because we almost needed a bit of help. It only came in the 80s. It was only created in the 80s, where when we can understand and have this blueprint of how we best use our energy, what our gifts are, what our role is here, it helps this logical or overthinking mind, which I definitely had in the past especially, to be able to trust where my energy wants to go, or what I'm here to do, or who I am as a person. So you have so many different aspects in your chart that can give you so many different things. The most important piece is always the energy type.
Yeah.
So with the generators and the manifesting generators, it's all about using your energy. Again, we're thinking about energy, because when we think about how you use your energy, it's basically going to create your life. It's going to mean, for example, for the generators and manifesting generators, you're following your gut. Your gut, you're responding to the world, and based on your positive or negative response from your gut, it's basically creating your direction. So it's going to be able to help you not only choose where to go, but also where to put your energy and where you're going to be successful and how you're going to be successful and who you're going to be successful with and for whom. It gives us all these awareness tool so that we don't feel lost, because there's a lot of generators and manifesting generators that feel lost and confused because they don't even realize that their gut is giving them their answers.
Yeah.
So that's for them. The manifestors, they're really here to trailblaze, to create movements. They are very creative. Can't tell a manifestor what to do. And a lot of the times manifestors have been conditioned to be like, you need to be more small. You're too much. It's like, get yourself together. Like, it can be very triggering people around a manifestor when a manifestor is just doing their thing. So when a manifestor understands like, hey, I'm meant to use my energy to create this vision that I see that people won't understand, even just that understanding of like, people won't understand your vision as a manifestor until you create it. We don't understand innovation until it's like literally sitting in front of us in black and white. So even little things like that for a manifestor to understand, like follow those creative urges. You get these impulses, go for it. Don't wait for people to catch up. Don't wait for people to get it. Projectors is so much about like, there's this big propensity where projectors are just exhausted because projectors are actually here to guide. They're here to give their advice. They're here to share what they see. But a lot of the times projectors are overachievers and they're trying to like be the conditioned way that we see how you become successful. And so there's a big shift and change for a projector of like seeing how their actual value is in their insight, less so in their ability to keep up all the time.
Yeah.
Reflectors really here to see that they are a mirror to the world and their fluid identity and their fluid way that they operate in the world, so that their purpose is always shifting and changing. And they're really here to, again, share their perception and to share that they see what they need to change. A lot of reflectors feel very misunderstood in this world. So even just that, like understanding, okay, that's how I'm using my energy. And there's a reason why, even going back to that, I feel exhausted by the way that we operate in this world and just really disappointed in life is often a common experience with reflectors, and almost feel a bit apathetic of like, oh, I guess this is it.
Yeah.
They can redirect their energy. So again, when you redirect your energy in a way that is in alignment with you, you're lit up. You're magnetic. People want to be around you. You're creating the thing that you want to create. People want to learn from you. People want to like just be in your energy because it draws people in. So it's basically your hack to understand your life. And that's just the energy types.
It's so powerful because even when I found out, so I'm a generator. So even when I found that I'm supposed to respond to, you know what I mean? And I was always convinced that I had to be creating, like I had to be like this creator of ideas all the time, if that makes sense. And I'm like, oh, sitting here like trying to create ideas, but actually I'm like, I'll see something go past and I'm like, oh, that's so interesting. And if I feel my gut says I'm interested in that, then I feel like, oh, it's my job to respond to that. And if my gut's interested in something I see or hear, or something just might pop up and spark my interest, that's changed everything for me, rather than feeling like I just have to sit here and, I don't know, try and create these ideas or business ideas or project ideas, you know? So that was powerful for me, for sure.
Because it just doesn't work. Like, you know, you sit on your laptop and you're like, and then again, then it comes into this like self-ridicule and self-criticism of like, I'm not creative. I'm not whatever the story that comes up. Where it's like, no, I just have a different way to use my energy. Why am I trying to like initiate like a manifestor when I'm a generator?
Yeah. Absolutely. I feel like you shared so many really powerful insights today, Hillary, not just around human design, but around also self-awareness, intuition, really coming back to understanding yourself. And I think once you understand yourself or on that journey, you're so much better able to not just look after your well-being, but understand what your career and work should be in life. If there is something or one piece of advice or information you wanted to leave us with today, what would that be?
I feel like, you know, first thing that came to mind was like, trust yourself. But before that, even like what came even before you actually answered the question, what was coming through was like, let life mirror to you. Let life guide you. You are supported. Whether that means for your highest development, whether that means you have to move through a lesson, whether that means you have to have a shitty circumstance to happen to redirect you, whether that means this person or type of person keeps coming around in your life, whether that means you keep on getting these like energetic invitations to explore something. People keep on saying they see something in you. Like, notice when life is trying to show you. We can get so in our plans. We can get so in like, but that's not according to plan, or they're annoying, or it's their fault. It's like, no, there's something that you're being invited to look at. Nothing is by coincidence. Nothing is by accident. There's a reason why you're even listening to this podcast. Like, there's no coincidence or randomness in this world. Everything, down to like what podcast you're listening to or what people you meet in your life, it's all a re-invitation to get to know yourself better. So when something either triggers you or when something sparks some curiosity or some excitement, like, dive deeper, get to know it. It's like we can think so much even when it comes to self-development or our spiritual development, all these things. We almost come from I need to figure this out or figure myself out. No, life will guide you. Life will show you the next thing to look at. It will show you the next opportunity. And I always just feel like in those moments, just coming back to like, what would my higher self do? Or what would my true self do in these moments? And this is where you start to like day by day, weeks, it turns into weeks and months. And all of a sudden you're the person that maybe you hoped to become, all the things that are happening in your life you'd always hoped for. And yeah, like you're always being supported in every moment to choose you and to choose your highest path. And so, yeah, when we wake up to that, when we realize that, it's powerful. Again, you're like hacking life. It's so obvious when you let it be obvious.
The ultimate life hack, Hillary, I think, to leave us on. Thank you so much for your time and wisdom. I appreciate it so much. I have loved talking to you.
Thank you, Angie.
Thanks for joining me on Work and Wellness. If today's episode resonated with you, remember, someone in your network might need to hear this too. Share it with a colleague or friend who could use these insights. I'd love to keep the conversation going, so find us on Instagram at Mind Your Grit, where we share daily tips and continue these discussions. And if you found value in today's episode, please take time to rate and review the show. It makes such a huge difference and helps other people discover conversations they might really need. Don't forget to hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. Each week, we're building a community of people who believe that success and well-being go hand in hand. You can find the notes, resources, and links from today's episode at mindyourgrit.com. This is Work and Wellness with Ange Davis. Your work matters, your wellness matters, and this is where it all comes together. See you next week.